Hello, everybody. All right. So, as a usual reminder, if you guys can, of course, if you haven't already, you can like and share the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, anything we talk about tonight grabs your attention. Feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to get to the I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. And we already have our first comment. Hey, Apex. Apex dropped in to say hi. Happy Wednesday, Mike. Hail to the mighty chat. And look like he changed his avatar a bit there too, from the looks of it. So that looked kind of cool. Anyways, I'll give it a few minutes, give people a chance to come in. I hope hopefully before we get into it and start talking about stuff. Um, so yeah. So anyway, let me just. So, anyways, we're just, as I said, just waiting for people to drop in. Hopefully, everybody's having a good week as we now have hit Wednesday, as Apex pointed out to us. Um, let's see, minute 46. Again, we're just waiting for more people to show up before we get started here. Of course, always feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Also, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated as well. Um, let's see. Ah. Anyways, um, let's see. Casper, the friendly ghost, the friendliest ghost you know. Hey, JR. I don't know that we had some more people in here now. Hail Apex, what is your favorite sci fi savior whose scriptures claim to be um, literally true? And why is it? Why is it Lord Cena? Logan, hey, Cement, shoot. And look like we got some people in here now. So, all right. So, I'm going to go over and talk about what's on tap for tonight then. So, um, anyways, Apex comment. So, we're going to go over two articles from Bounding into Comics. We're going to continue looking at the situation surrounding the voice casting, the Yoriichi voice casting for Bleach Thousand Year Blood War, as more people are now coming out, um, supposedly trying to defend race-based casting. Um, Also, one of the other things we're going to talk about is that the comic book readers rejecting the Scott McField Alan Scott Green Lantern book by Tim Sheridan. We're going to talk a bit about that too. So those are the two articles we're going to be focusing in on tonight, plus of course the wrestling wrap up and this day in each history. So with all that being said and done, let's go. And of course, another quick reminder. First off, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. Also, if anything we talk about grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll do the best I can to answer those questions. But with all that being said, why don't we get into the material here? Right. So, without any further ado, get into the first article here. All right. So, Bleach Thousand Year Blood War Yoichi casting snafu, exposes identity politics chokehold on the Western entertainment industry as aspiring voice actors rush to defend race-based casting. That is until it starts affecting their bottom line, at least, as we've been seeing recently. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's get into this and see what more comes of it. Viz Media's recent kerfuffle surrounding the role of um, Yoichi in Bleach's Thousand Year Blood War continues to expose just how deep the ideology of identity politics runs in the Western voice acting business. As not only was the ninja's recasting met with accusations of racism by itself, well, not exactly. Um, by established VAs, maybe some of the more like newer established voice actors, but in that last article, none of the people who've actually worked with Wendy were saying anything about it. It's been more. It's the what we saw from what we saw it was people weren't even involved with the show at all, anyways. So, but it also prompted those aspiring to one day join the industry to defend their seniors' race-based ideologies. Now, I know that there have been a few others like Yellow Flash and Vera Dark who have been covering this story as well. Um, Vera actually had a very interesting observation that I believe it's true. One of the other things that this whole thing exposes too is, in some respects, just how racist a lot of these people are towards white people. Because it's not that. Because here, from one of the other articles we've been talking about too, when that one voice actor started complaining that he was only getting called to audition for Asian, he's an Asian American voice actor. He's only getting called in to audition for Asian American roles. One of the points that Vera pointed out was what these people really want is they want everybody else to be able to go for whatever role they want, but they want white voice actors to only be able to go for white voice roles. So that was one of the things that was also exposed in all this too. But anyways, continuing on with the article here. Take for example, indie voice actor Kiran Kumar. Kiran Kumar, which sounds like, I'm guessing that might be an Indian, like as in Taj Mahal, India, not American Indian, not Native American. Taking to Twitter on October 23rd in the wake of Wendy Lee's being brought back to the role of Yoichi over her replacement, Nairi Kionis, Kumar claimed that, quote, in an ideal world, any voice actor could play any character of any race. That was already the established. That's already the established cue, there, buddy. If anything, you're actually going against it, apparently. But we're not in an ideal world. White voice actors have played both white characters and characters from other races for years, while POC actors just got whatever was left. Funny when some recently, we know this one voice actor who recently, he recently was trying, he was recently going out on auditions and was asked to read for specific roles that these people say that they should be having, and he wanted to go. And he said, well, what about this role? And they told them, oh, no, that's a white role. You don't want that. So I mean, but then also, well, you have to also understand too. Okay, part of that, yeah, white voice actors have gotten a lot more of those roles over the years, but that's because for a long time, America was predominantly white. Okay, it's only been in recent years where things have started to become more of a plurality too. But let's see. Proceeding to pen a lengthy thread in defense of the practice, Kumar would eventually summarize of his argument, quote, is X race actor to X race character, quote, a perfect solution? No. In an imperfect world, it's an imperfect solution. That's far superior to the previous practice in terms of promoting equity. Even so, implementation has been something patchy. Well, recently some casting directors tried to quote unquote be equitable, and the voice actor in question didn't like that. They asked him to come in and just audition for an Asian American role because he was an Asian American, and he didn't like that. So Kumar then explicitly admitted that race-based casting was rooted in hypocrisy, posting to himself, hypothetical question, quote, but Kiran, shouldn't POC actors that then be barred from playing white characters? For answering, quote, no, because the goal is equity. Well, okay, the current practice is nobody should be banned from playing any character. Okay? So you seem to be, if anything, you seem to be arguing the point that most people, most people on the right have been arguing for. Quote, and even when, say, a Mexican actor plays a white character, white actors still have the lion's share of roles proportionately. Quote, he added. Well, because for a long time there, if you go back over the last 25, 30 years, back in the 80s and 90s, yeah, white, you did have more white voice actors because there were more white people in the United States. Okay? That's why you had that, not that there was some kind of like deliberate, it just so happened that there were just more white people. They were a pretty dominant majority. They're not as dominant now, obviously. We have more of a plurality in our country than a majority of any one race. But you know, um, it's also a practice in violation of American civil rights laws. Yeah, but again, nobody's actually what they're railing against is that they're claiming that it's happening like that, and that's not the case. Okay, and in a lot of cases, you know, to further Kumar's argument right there, right, to kind of go with his line of reasoning, well, no, we shouldn't even have English dubs then at all you know, because, you know, that would require us to have English voice actors, and a lot of them, whether they be white, black, or even, or there shouldn't be any, you know, and now granted, every country has their own dubbing people, so regardless, so you know, so when the Japanese and when a Japanese IP, let's say they want to go market it in the Middle East, of course the the Middle Eastern people, whether it's Saudi Arabia or Iran or Iraq or Palestine, whatever. Of course, the dub voice actors are going to be the people from those countries. All right, speaking in their native language to help people to help tell that story. Okay, just like down in down in Mexico, right, where you have Mexican voice actors. But to take Kumar's point here, you know, um, you basically are saying that, well, maybe there shouldn't be any dubs at all. When it comes down to it, then everybody loses. Is that really what you want? Quote, no one is defined solely by their race, unquote, he then asserted. Quote, but race plays a part, and the fact is, all other things being equal, white folks have more opportunities than folks of color. In parentheses, black folks, for instance, being systematically oppressed in the U.S. for centuries. Not within the voice acting community. I mean, I know of a few, now granted, maybe not in the dubbing side of it, but in terms of Western animation, I know of a few, African American voice actors who actually had some good careers. Back in the 80s there. Arthur Burghardt, who voiced, among other, of course, voiced a few characters in G.I. Joe, probably most notably Destro. And Destro, even though he wore an iron mask there, you could argue he was a white-based character. Along with Destro, he also voiced Stalker in that cartoon. He voiced Devastator, who was a robot in Transformers. So, let's see. You had Kenny Holliday, who did the voice of Roadblock in let's see. There's even Blue Man Kuma up in Canada there. Granted, it's Canada. So this whole idea of trying to play the victim card here for black people is just, again, kind of stupid. So likewise, Shakira Dunn angrily espoused, quote, I'm saying it, I don't care. Wendy Lee coming back to be Yoriichi and replacing Anairi is a slap in the face of all people of color voice actors. No, it's not, because one, okay, first off, we can't even say that Yoriichi is a person of color. Okay, she's a Shinigami. Okay, she's a Shinigami. She's not even a person of color. She's a Shinigami, and her skin tone is it may not even be considered black. It may be more Islander, as some people pointed out. Her coming back to a role that she earned it and did the work to earn it. It's not a slap in the face POC. All that statement you're saying right there makes you the racist. It's a kick in the teeth, and it 100% proves people would rather have bigotry and racism and baseless criticism be better than what's deserved. Again, Wendy Lee does deserve that role. She auditioned for it. She earned the right and made it a success. Notice too how a lot of these people who are complaining here. Now they did mention this, of course. These are aspiring voices. These aren't even people who've worked with Wendy. These are not people who've worked on Bleach, okay, or worked with Viz Media. These are just ideologues who are having a little temper tantrum because an injustice was corrected. Wendy Lee did earn that role. And when they tried to pull the whole diversity hire, fans caught wind of it and complained, and Vid Media did the right thing by replacing Wendy, or by replacing Aniri for Wendy to come back. So, well, it's BS, she continued, and I'm so angry and I'm irritated by it. I don't believe the concept of the right talent for the job because you had the right to. If you're talking about no, you had the right. They brought back the right talent for the job because Wendy Lee was the one who originally earned it. Okay, she was the one who originally earned it. You chose correctly, letting a POC play a POC, one that suited even more so, and you chose to sink down and cave. First off, did even Tite Kubo think Yoichi was black or a person of color when he created the character? You know. See, they weren't really talking about this back when they did, back in the late 2000s there when they were originally casting her. Nobody was complaining about Wendy Lee voicing the character then. You know. Echoing their peers and retweeting Gunn, Gail Rivera decried, quote, for anyone who is out here with the, quote, we just want the legacy cast defense. There were so many other recasts that happened that you don't do this bleep for. And you went for the black one. Well, first off, again, there's no concrete evidence that she is a black woman. Okay, her skin tone has been more considered to be Islander. Okay, and at least in one of the other recastings, the voice actor actually voluntarily stepped down from the role. Whereas in Wendy's case, they try to make it sound like Wendy wasn't available to do the role, and that's why they recast her. And Wendy came out and said, no, she was available to do the role and wanted to do the role. Okay. So, and again, going back to my point, a lot of these people haven't even worked on the show. Haven't worked with Wendy, but yet they feel they have the right to vilify her. Question: what is your favorite film of any genre? Favorite film? Let's see. I would probably say Rocky is probably my. Let's see. Probably most likely Rocky. The Rocky film series with Sylvester Stallone. Just like the underlying story behind it, not just the boxing aspects, but the character development in it. But anyways, getting back to this. Quote, realize the yikes you put yourself in. Again, Gail, here's the thing though. One, in some of those cases, the voice actors had voluntarily stepped away. And also, you're talking about a situation here where it's a very popular voice actor who was originally replaced there. Wendy Lee has been at this for 45 years. Been at it since the 80s. So 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2000. She's been at this for 5 decades. Okay? Of course, fans are going to be upset. You tried to replace an iconic voice actress who didn't do anything wrong. She didn't do anything that was worth losing the role. She didn't like screw up the role. She earned the role in the first place and did a great job with it. She was replaced to satisfy the ideologues, and fans weren't putting up with it. He added. So I guess Gail is a guy here. Okay. Offering no specific examples of any such similar recastings to back up their argument. Quote, black people have a right to be peed, unquote. But thing is that no, they don't. Because first off, nobody said Yoruichi. The only people who are trying to say that Yoruichi is a black character are you people. Okay? I don't think even Tide Kubo said that she was a black character or meant to be a black character. Suffice to say, barring a major cultural shift in the coming years, the self-defeating trend of race-based casting will only continue to flourish within the Western entertainment community. Yeah, and in fact, they actually linked the article I was just talking about here. They linked the article, Western voice actor Sung Won pro ZD Cho unhappy reaping what he sowed, complains that industry is now segregating roles by race. Well, that's what these people were calling for, right? And we went over that. We kind of went over that article a little bit, or at least talked a little bit about it. I don't know if I actually went over it, but I know Yellow Flash did. But anyways, there we go with that one. And I know we already. And as always, guys, if you guys, and I thank you for the like and the share. If you guys can, of course, for those of you who haven't, if you guys can like and share the stream to see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage, that'd be terrific. So, anyways, we're gonna get ready to move on to the next. Sorry about that. I kind of goofed there. Anyways, kind of goofed there. Kind of took myself out of the thing there by trying to backtrack. But hold on, let's get the thing back up there. Sometimes when you're like in the midst of talking and stuff, you kind of lose yourself for a moment. But anyways, all right, now where I was trying to be, where I was trying to backtrack with. All right, so now let's go ahead and move on to the next article we're going to talk about tonight. Let me just check and see where we're at on time here. Okay, 29 minutes. All right. So here's the next article we're going to talk about, of course. And this has also been getting a lot of traction of late, or a lot of conversation going. The article by John F. Trent here. It was published earlier today. Comic book readers reject sodomy-filled Alan Scott Green Lantern book by Tim Sheridan. So, and I know Yellow Flash has talked about this as well. So we'll go over this real quick. We'll go over this. All right. 30 minutes. Okay. All right. So let's get into this. Comic book readers chose not to purchase the sodomy-filled Alan Scott Green Lantern comic book by writer Tim Sheridan, despite Sheridan begging his followers to purchase the book to spite Comicsgate. Yeah, so he begged everybody to buy it, and then nobody bought it. So, so you really still want to be catering to these people? They're not going to ultimately end up going out and buying it anyways. In the middle of October, Sheridan took to X to beg his followers to purchase the book, saying, quote, "I'm here to ask you a favor. The book comes out next DC Tuesday, October 24th. But already the haters and the queerphobes are out in force, doing everything they can to see that this book tanks." Well, no, they didn't know they weren't. Nobody was really even talking about it until you started opening your mouth, dude. That's kind of the thing. They use code and make it sound like they have a legit problems with a book they haven't read yet. But the truth is that they just don't like that there. Well, or could it be that they just don't like the story? They don't like the idea of a story being told about. Maybe they don't like the premise of the story. Did that ever occur to you? About Alan Scott being blackmailed by J. Edgar Hoover into gay sex? You know, the truth is they just don't like that there is a queer hero in the upper ranks of the DCU. Unquote. Um, I don't think that's an issue. The issue is when you try to make that your main selling point for the hero is what people have the issue with. I don't because I mean, look, you have current Batwoman and Renee Montoya who are pretty well known, pretty high up their characters, queer characters, and people, they came about throughout the 2000s, and nobody really cared that much about it. So, um, anyways, continuing on here. Quote, "The only way we can shut these people down is to make this book an undeniable success," unquote, he continued. Quote, "The only way to prove to the big publishers that there's a huge market for authentic stories about LGBTQIA plus characters, and these stories are for everyone, is to buy the heck out of the books like this," unquote. Yeah, that's not really a huge selling point, I think, for a lot of people to just buy a book, just to spite people or just to stick it to people. Yeah, that's kind of stupid reasoning there, Mr. Sheridan. Sheridan went on, quote, "This one's only 6 issues, and each one has a few variants. So I'm asking if you have the means, buy them up. Buy extras, give to people you think really need to read it," unquote. Yeah, going out and trying to force your ideology down people's throats. That's a good selling tactic. That is. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I want you to read this. You know, Jehovah's Witnesses have been doing that kind of thing for years, and hasn't always worked out for them either. So, Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons have done the same kind of thing, and it hasn't necessarily always worked for them either. So, He then claimed that he would not pocket any additional profits from an assumed increase in sales from his pitch. Quote, and you might say this sounds like a great way for Tim Sheridan to make a bundle in royalties. Well, no, I won't make a penny because every single royalty I receive from these 6 issues goes straight to a charity that is very important to me and I've support for a long time. The Elton John AIDS Foundation, which works to prevent HIV stigma and provide compassionate care for all communities. Well, I guess they don't. They haven't. They. I guess they're not getting that big check then, because this book did tank. Book did tank, apparently. I'm asking you to join the Corps, he begged. Yeah, you know that if you have to beg somebody to buy your book, you know that there's a big problem there. Big, big problem. um, he begged, if you care about truth and justice, about shining a light in the darkness, if you think comics are and should continue to be for everyone, or if you just want to force these comic geek trolls back under the bridge they crawled out from, please support our book. Unquote. Well, again, um, as it would turn out, people, I guess, didn't buy the book. Quote, and send a message that the bullying and the lies, the hate have to stop, he said. Quote, everyone deserves to see themselves in comics. Everyone needs allies, and if you're an ally, now is the time to step up. We outnumber. Apparently you don't, because apparently it didn't sell. So let's pull our power, vote with our wallets, and beat these rear ends. Unquote. Oh, and as many of these 4 variant covers for Alan Scott Green Lantern to your pull list today. Pick them up in store next week, Tuesday the 24th. Thank you so much. He concluded. Yeah, because what most people want to see, what the majority of the populace want to see, are 2 guys getting out in bed. That's a big selling point, right? Oh boy. Question: what is your least favorite movie? If you can narrow it down to just one, because um, well, I don't have a least favorite one, cement, because I don't really watch a lot of movies to begin with. So because there are a lot of bad movies out there, I hit send too soon. Yeah, well, again, I don't really go out and watch a lot of movies to begin with. So, um, I don't really have an answer for you, unfortunately. Well, anyways, getting back to the article here. As Sheridan noted, the book released on October 24th, and according to ICV2's Comic Hub system, the book failed to break into the top 50 most sold comic books by units list. It also failed to break into the top 50 most sold comic books by dollars list. So it didn't even it didn't even break into the top 50. I know Yellow Flash talked about this too. It didn't break the top 50 list for units sold, which means individual books sold, and it didn't break the top 50 list for a dollar amount either. So, the Comic Hub system for the month of October tracked sales from over 125 stores, and it is a non-random sample of over 3,000 stores selling American comics worldwide. To reiterate, the book did not chart at all. So basically, nobody apparently bought it then. So to quote to quote to quote um okay, never mind, not to quote, because I can't even remember what I was going to quote, but basically um Sheridan was saying that there was a demand for this, and apparently there isn't. So anyways, he added, it's not he added, oh okay. So somebody commented on the book not showing up on the Comic Hub system list, saying it's not in the top 50. So if it's not in the top 50 of books, that means the sales of it are absolutely atrocious. People were not picking this up. He added, whoever the person added, quote, it's not selling, it's just not there. So this is a huge, huge destructive loss for DC Comics once again, as they're trying to push this agenda everywhere they go, yet nobody wants it. Not only did the book fail to chart on the Comic Hub system, but um, the book is ranked 25,763rd in the Kindle store and number 170 for superhero comics and graphic novels. So basically, meaning that 25,762 books sold better in the Kindle store, and 169 superhero comics and graphic novels sold better than this. So clearly, comic book readers were not interested in the sodomy-filled Alan Scott Green Lantern #1. Yeah. So, what do you make of comic book readers rejecting Tim Sheridan's Alan Scott? Well, that's what he gets for trying to shove the agenda down everybody's throats. People weren't wanting to buy the book, and they told you that with their wallets. So I got you. I'm a movie fanatic, but it's not everyone's thing. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool. So, anyways, so now with those two articles done, gonna go ahead and get into the wrestling wrap up a little bit here. We do have some interesting news coming out of the WWE. And AEW has Dynamite tonight, as we're 10 days away from 10 days away from the Full Gear pay per view. We're also 10 days away from NWA returning to Sarasota, Florida for the first time in 30 years. I'm talking about the National Wrestling Alliance, of course. They'll be doing a TV taping, which they've already announced some major matchups for that TV taping. So, anyways, first off, we're gonna just talk a little bit about the WWE news. So John Cena has been teasing retirement. He's been coming back and been helping to put other people over, but he's been dropping hints that he might actually fully retire from the ring. He had left the WWE to focus on acting, and would come back occasionally. He recently came back during the Hollywood strike. So help out WWE, put some guys over like Solo Sikoa. But there's been teases that he may be retiring. There's also been a lot of teasing that they've been trying to indicate that maybe CM Punk might be coming back. I don't personally don't see it happening, but I don't think it should happen, considering that Punk is a pariah. But anyways, that's all the WWE news we have for you. Tonight, Dynamite has some interesting matchups as they continue to make their way. They continue to build towards Full Gear a week from Saturday here, 10 days from now. MJF defends the AEW World Title tonight against Daniel Garcia. He'll be pulling double duty at Full Gear, first on the Countdown show, when he and a partner of his choosing will be defending the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships against the Gun Club, Austin, Colton, Gunn. And then later on that night, we'll be defending the AEW Championship against Jay White. And we'll talk about him in a moment. In preparation for their big six-man tag match at Full Gear, Darby Allin and Sting will be teaming up to take on the Outrunners of Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum. Penta El Zero Miedo, Alex Abrahantes in his corner, will be taking on Swerve Strickland of the Mogul Embassy with Prince Nana in his corner. Samoa Joe, in a match that was set up on this past Saturday's Collision, Samoa Joe defends the Ring of Honor World Television title against Limitless Keith Lee, who confronted Joe as Joe was saying that he claimed to have beaten everybody in Ring of Honor and All Elite. To which Keith Lee came out and said, "No, you haven't. You haven't beat me yet." So, the Guns, in their preparation for their upcoming title match, will be taking on the Bollywood Boys of Gurv and Harv Shiva. In her first match in over a year, Red Velvet makes her return to Dynamite to take on the House of Black's Julia Hart in her first match in a month. And then in the main event, a slated main event, is supposed to be the returning Mark Briscoe to take on Jay White. These two have faced off against each other in tag matches, but this will be one of the first. 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 This will be their first singles match ever, from what it was said. Let's see. Who is your favorite wrestler of all time? My favorite wrestler of all time, Cement Shoes, is Sting. And I know he just announced his retirement. I'm glad for him. At 64 years old, going on 65 here. He's done his part, and him coming back to AEW and serving as mentor to Darby Allin, that's been a good thing for Darby and Sting to help him out. Apex ain't Hale. Hasteman, and then he says Hasteman should, and then applied. So, and just as a reminder, of course, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here we talk about, grab your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with that, continuing on then, we just went over, what was going on for Dynamite tonight. We're going to go back to last night to talk about what happened on NWA Power yesterday, which of course was taped NWA Power, which was taped back on this past Saturday on the 4th, but aired yesterday. in which you saw, um, as of course they're building towards the up, as I mentioned earlier, they're building up towards the tapings in 8 days from now on the 18th, as AEW will be having its Full Gear pay-per-view that same day. The NWA will be recording they're having their next TV tapings from the Robarts Arena in Sarasota, Florida, returning to Florida for the first time in 30 years. They'll be celebrating Austin Idol's 50-plus year career in the wrestling industry. And as announced on Power yesterday, Jax Dane will be challenging EC3 for the NWA World title during those tapings. Also, Kenzie Page will be defending NWA World Women's title against Samantha Starr, third generation star Samantha Starr. So let's see. Mine is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Chris Benoit was a close second favorite, but I kind of hate to reassess that. I guess I have. Well, okay. On the Chris Benoit issue, granted, the way his final hours, what he did, okay, you can't condone that. The man obviously had some problems, and unfortunately, he chose the wrong way to handle them. Now, just because he did a very bad thing at the end of his life doesn't mean you can't appreciate the work he did before that point. Benoit would be, I'd consider Chris Benoit a close second as well. You know, Sting's my all-time favorite, and I like Benoit a lot. The intensity he'd bring to the ring, and even for by professional wrestling standards, his small stature of like 5'8", 5'9", 225, being able to do a lot of those suplexes. Benoit was a good worker. You can still respect his work. You don't condone what he did. Obviously, murdering your wife and son and then suicide. You don't condone that. And that's something he'll have to pay for on the other side there. He'll have to answer for on the other side, if he hasn't already. But you can still appreciate his work. A lot of people have a lot more difficulty separating the work from the individual, right? The individual character. You can always appreciate the work, even if you lose all respect for the person, right? I don't care for some of the things that CM Punk has said and done over the years, but I still think for a guy his size, he's still a talented individual. You look at Hulk Hogan. A lot of people have a lot of criticism of Hogan. Okay, Hogan is not maybe the most technically gifted individual in the ring, but he still had the charisma to help bring wrestling out more into the mainstream. You can respect that part, even if you don't respect everything he's done in his life. You can be a fan of somebody's work and still call them out when they behave badly. I still respect him as a wrestler, but I just don't tell a lot of people how I feel is what I meant. Yeah, and I can understand that. Chris, I think for a lot of people, not just for those close to the situation, but even the fan base, Chris Benoit is one of those very tricky things to talk about because, as I just mentioned, right? How do you separate the man's work from what he ended up doing? If you were just to evaluate his work, you could argue he does deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, the only thing keeping him out of the Hall of Fame is what he did at the end. And many people would argue rightfully so. It's one of those things that's very tricky to talk about. But anyways, just going over, of course, the results from Power last night real quickly. So Kerry Morton and Alex Taylor of the Southern Six, they defeated the Heat Seekers, basically having their second straight win over former NWA World Tag Team Champions, as they beat the Headbangers at Samhain and then beat the Heat Seekers. And both the Headbangers and the Heat Seekers have both been former NWA World Tag Team Champions. Maxie Impaler defended the NWA World Women's Television title and retained against Missa Kate, former NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. In a non-title tag team match, Blunt Force Trauma defeated Magic Inc. And Kenzie Page in a non-title match defeated Taylor Rising. So that's all we have for the wrestling wrap-up for you guys. So now with all that being said and done, why don't we go ahead and take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. Today being, I don't know why I pulled that up yet. Today being Wednesday. But before we do that, I guess Cement Shoes had a couple. My opinion with this, with the severity of his head injuries, he can't be held 100% responsible. Yeah, that's what a number of people. That's an argument that a number of people have made. That's an argument I would. A lot of people attribute to a lot of what happened to him again to utilizing the diving headbutt. You had like Harley Race, who invented the move, even come out and warn people against using it. It caused his body severe damage, his head and neck severe damage. It also led to a lot of the Dynamite Kid's issues in his later years as well. But yeah, and that's another thing. And and I don't know if you've watched the Outside the Ropes documentary on this situation, but Chris Benoit's son David, his surviving son David, has also kind of got a lot of people are like looking down on him because of what Chris did, and that's not fair either. He didn't do anything wrong. His father, he can't be held responsible for what his father did. I wish his son, who's getting into wrestling, all the luck in the world. Well, I know from what I understand, his son David, who you just kind of mentioned there, he's already got some people I think backing him up a bit. I think like Chris Jericho been kind of helping him out a bit, from what I understand. So, question: do you have any interest in true crime? Um, are you talking about like shows like Cops and all that? Not a whole. Not a whole lot. I mean, I've read some of the comics as well, but I have some, but it's not like a whole lot. I've watched stuff like that before. I have watched like I've gotten in before to watching stuff like Dog the Bounty Hunter and Operation Repo and Cheaters. Those are the ones I've probably gotten into watching the most. But as of right now, I don't have a whole lot of interest in them. I did for a while there. But anyways, as I said, today being Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. Let's take a look back at this day in each history. History! First off, I'm going to head back 50 years ago. As on this date 50 years ago, as soon as I pull it up here, on this date 50 years ago today, Bearcat Brown and Don Green defeated the Interns for the Mid-America version of the NWA World Tag Team Championships. So this is at a time when the NWA did not recognize one solo NWA World Tag Team Championships. This is one of the titles that they let all the different territories determine for themselves whether they're going to recognize a World Tag Team Champion or not. Mid-America was one of those territories that did. On this date, 50 years ago, Bearcat Brown and Don Green defeated the Interns for the Mid-America version of the NWA World Tag Team Champion. So, there we go with that. Let's see. I watch loads of true crime on YouTube. All right. Anyways, getting ready to move on to the next piece in each history as we head back 40 years ago today. As on this date, 40 years ago today, the 240th issue of Volume 1 of The Avengers from Marvel Comics went on sale on this date back in 1983, 40 years ago today. It sold for 60 cents, was 32 pages. The story was The Ghost of Jessica Drew, written by Roger Stern, penciled by Alan Milgrom. Joe Sinnott did the inking. James R. Novak did the lettering, and Christy Shale did the coloring. So, on this date, 40 years ago today, the 240th issue of Volume 1 of The Avengers went on sale on this date back in 1983. So, moving on to the next piece in each history, move on to 2008. On this date in 2008, which was 15 years ago today, the Disney animated series Tasty Time with Zafranc premiered on Playhouse Disney on the Playhouse Disney block on the Disney Channel on this date back in 2008. The Playhouse Disney block, of course, was basically the block of programming that was geared towards preschoolers. So on this date in 15 years ago today, 2008, the Walt Disney Disney animated series Tasty Time with Zafranc premiered on Playhouse Disney on this date back in 2008. And 2008 is just so nice that we're gonna hit it twice. As also on this date in 2008, as part of the Yes Precure 5 anime franchise. The Toei Animations. Yes, Precure 5 Go Go, the movie, Happy Birthday in the Land of Sweets, premiered in Japanese theaters on this date back in 2008. So 15 years ago today, the Toei Animations Yes Precure 5 Go Go, the movie, Happy Birthday in the Land of Sweets, premiered in Japanese theaters on this date 15 years ago back in 2008. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll, of course, be back here tomorrow with more niche news. Most likely, I'll be going over the Indie Comic Showcase. Unless, of course, it's not being done this week. But let me just double check. Did he put it up already? Yeah. Okay. Yep. It did. So on this, so basically, so tomorrow night we'll be covering the Indie Comic Showcase article from Bleeding Fool. And of course, don't forget, of course, we're back. And on Friday, of course, the Metal from the Vomitorium will be joining me as we'll be going over comics that went on sale back in December of 1939, focusing in on quality comics with Smash Comics Volume 1, Issue 7, and Feature Comics Volume 1, Issue 29. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope you all enjoyed the show. And with that, I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.